Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Rider Ramblings. It's a beautiful morning. It's going to be quite warm. Got the sat-nav on because although I know roughly where I'm going, I'm not sure where I'm going right at the very end. So I have all the information until I get to the last 500 meters or so. And of course, it's not happy with me, the GPS, sat-nav, because I'm not going the way it wants me to go. Because it wants me to go right the way through the middle of town, and there are just too many traffic lights, Priority Adwat and other such junctions, and it's doing that because where I'm going, I'll be going across a bridge that is a well-known bottleneck. If you're in a car, well, that's a problem, but on a bike it's not usually a problem. Anyhow, yes, so we've been having some huge storms. We actually had one in Paris, in where I live, and quite a number of trees came down, and I believe one fell on a car. I don't know if there were any injuries or not, but one fell on the car, a car. It was 3 or 4 miles from where we live, so, because it's quite a large area, so we weren't affected, but it was pretty violent, even around us. We've got a large pine tree of some sort, which is about 4 stories high, approximately, in the garden, and that was whipping around quite a lot. I don't actually know how that tree survived, because it's above the garages. So I don't know where the roots go, which is a little bit worrying, but it's been there 40 years or so, so it'll probably stay for a while. We will see. Anyhow, what I wanted to talk about was we have all these storms, and on the news there's basically saying, we're all going to die, and actually some of these storms are pretty horrendous. I must admit, they're not just light storms, they are pretty horrendous. And we've seen tornadoes and roofs ripped off, and flooding streets and overflowing rivers and lots of hail and this type of thing. So it has been pretty nasty, and of course everybody, going, oh, the world is going to end and this type of thing. But what gets me is, why didn't they prepare? This happens nearly every year. Nearly every year, not every year, but nearly every year we get this type of weather. Nearly every year. So it's not unknown, and I just don't understand why people aren't prepared for this. Now, we have seen one or two of the farmers have sort of prepared by putting sort of cloches, well, you can't really call them cloches because they're enormous, but coverings over the top of their fruit trees and things like this. So, you know, they are doing something about it. But a lot of the other people, it's pretty terrible. You know, we didn't think it would happen to us. I mean, I lived in the tropics, and monsoons and cyclones and things like that are, or were, as I don't live there anymore, pretty common occurrences. And you know, there were certain things you didn't do. I mean, you know, when we had one of these things, you didn't go out. You know, and if you were out, you found the nearest shelter. You know, whether that was a cafe or something, you know, somewhere where you could actually shelter, and you certainly didn't go underground. I mean, you know, that was pretty stupid, going underground. So, you know, that didn't happen. And we kept away from, you know, the rain while it was happening. And I mean, there was a river near us, and when it rained, when these monsoons arrived, you would this would rise about 3 or 4 meters, maybe even 5 meters. So it was, you know, it was pretty horrific. And I mean, it would do this in about 20 minutes, 15 minutes. It would go from a trickle in the bottom, you know, maybe less than a foot deep, 6 inches deep, to well, between 4 and 5 meters easily, and it would overflow onto the roads, and you'd have certainly about a foot of water on the road. And so that's why the sat-nav didn't want me to go that way. And so you know, you just prepared for it, and it's starting to become, you know, standard in Europe that we get these storms. It's you know, that certainly for the last, you know, 4 or 5 years we've had them virtually every year in different parts of France. Sometimes it's the south, sometimes it's the north, sometimes it's the middle, that type of thing, east or west. But some areas tend to get hit more than others. And you know, you would have expected these areas to prepare better for, you can't see, this, by the way, this roadworks to the right here is a new RER station for the Grand Paris Express, and they're hoping to have it open for the Olympics next year, but whether they do or don't, I don't know. It should make life a lot easier. It should, with any luck. whether people will use it or whether people will prefer their cars, I don't know. We will see. We will see. Anyhow, getting back to the weather, yeah, you sort of avoided places like this. I mean, you know, this was a death trap. So, consequently, I just don't understand why people don't prepare. Excuse me. I do know in France that a lot of the houses in the rural communities and so on, are built on clay, and there's a lot of clay in France. And how can we put this? The foundations are, well, minimal at best. Non-existent is probably normal. We lived in a house about 12 years ago. Beautiful old French house. And there basically weren't any foundations. It was, it went down into the cellar, of which there was one, and just a little bit below that, and I do mean sort of 1 or 2 courses below that, you know, was the clay, and that's how it was. So, yes, that's that. So, yes, they've had a number of problems, and of course we've had an earthquake, and not here, but in the near Bordeaux, there was an earthquake, and a whole village has been condemned. All the houses are listed as being uninhabitable and dangerous, and they're going to have to bring the whole damn lot down. So yes, that's that. Anyhow, let's see, where am I? I've got no idea. I know I'm going in the right direction, but we'll say thanks very much. Please like, share, comment and subscribe, and I'll talk to you next time.